going on, Full Heel Podcast? I am your host, Rafael Chaidez, and we're coming at you today with another episode. But first, let me introduce my guest, Ryan. What's going on, Ryan?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Excited to break this card down today.
Yeah, some more WCW.
Yeah.
First, please go check out the rewrites. That was the band that was playing in the beginning of the episode. They're my buddies. They will be playing a skate shop here in Chicago. I wish I remembered where it was, but check out their Facebook. It definitely is on Facebook and on Twitter. We talked about it in my last podcast. We mentioned the address, the location, the time, everything else. I can't remember it right now. If I were a better producer, I probably would have looked it up beforehand, but this is about WCW, and this is about me and Ryan, but go ahead and check out the rewrites, though. For real, though. Go ahead and check out the rewrites. Let's get to it, Ryan.
Before we start, is drunk Johnny stopping by tonight?
He's coming in an hour into the show.
I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I heard your post, so like, what?
Dude, I get so pissed. So I don't know if I should still be pissed or not. I'll go over quick relapse of it, I guess. So I usually hit them up a week prior and be like, hey, who's down for a podcast? This is a fight that's going on. They know the time. It's 9 o'clock. But this recent schedule's been shifting around, so I've been updating them recently. And that's why I've been having longer ones, because the UFC's been bleeding into boxing events. I don't know if they've been recently doing that on purpose, or they don't want to counter air against each other, try to fucking raid against each other. But so I hit up everybody. A couple of guys are like, hey, yeah, I'm down. Pretty much the rewrites were all like, yeah, I'm down for Saturday. And Johnny's like, I'll let you know. He's like, I might be going to Vegas. I'm like, well, okay, Vegas. But so everyone knows Cinco de Mayo is a big drinking holiday, whatever, for Mexican people. But it's May 4th. Usually they have crazy-ass boxing matches on the 4th and September 16th for the Mexican holidays. So he went out and got fucked up, and he had been drinking all day.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, he had been drinking all fucking day. And he was drinking with Quadro. Quadro didn't come. He was drinking. But this guy, we started at like 9. Not even. We started like at 8 something. And I had been watching fights, and we started before the last 2 of the UFC, and then one of the boxing matches, and then the Canelo fight. He got here. We did 3 hours. He got here like an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes into the podcast. Dude, as soon as I went to go open the door, because I have a gate, so I have to go open the gate outside.
Oh, okay.
I can smell the alcohol on him, dude.
Oh, my God.
Like heavy alcohol. And I'm like, and I was already pissed because it's an hour into the show. And I'm producer, I'm host. So
you gotta stop everything
I can't pause the show, because then I can, but then there's so much I have to do. Then there's 2 videos, and then I can put the audio out together, but I have to piece it up, put it together. It's just more work for me.
Right.
So I had these guys, and I'm like, just keep the show going while I go fucking open the door for him, and miss some of the main event of the Cerrone Iaquinta fight, which was a badass fight. And we're already distracted, smoking, having fun, chilling, and not to mention I have to go open the door. And then he's like, I'm sorry, dude. So I'm already pissed because he's not sorry, or else he wouldn't be doing it. Because he's late all the time, 10 minutes late, 20 minutes late. This time it was like an hour and 30 minutes late. And he didn't even say, he didn't even confirm that he was going to be here. He's like, I'll let you know Thursday. So I assumed he wasn't even going to come. And then I look over to my computer when I get a blink from Facebook, and it's Johnny. It says, I'm here. Dude, man, I was so pissed. If you go back and you watch the video, you can see, I have to get back into a mood because I'm trying to fight the anger. I yelled at him a couple times, and he's trying to overcompensate for being an asshole and being late and drunk. He's being super loud, and he's like, right, Rafa? Oh, yeah, this. Right, Rafa? Right, Rafa? And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up, man. I'm like, I'm not saying don't talk. I'm like, but don't be a fucking asshole. I'm like, you're
Right.
railroading the show right now. I'm like, I'm the host. I'm not saying don't talk, but you're not making any sense and you're drunk. And like,
Right. Yeah.
so I had to like fucking scold him on the show. I didn't want to, and I didn't really. It was just awkward. It was really awkward for like fucking a while. I had to fucking recenter, take a couple hits, and fucking. These guys thought it was hilarious because I was pissed. But that was Saturday. That was Saturday.
I'll have to give that a listen to this later this week there when I get a chance.
Dude, I was so pissed. He apologized. I apologized for yelling at him. I'm not apologizing for being mad. I'm apologizing for yelling at him on the show. But they look. I don't charge them for fucking ESPN Plus and all this shit and DAZN. I'll charge them for pay-per-views because that's $80. But they come and chill and smoke weed and we fucking have fun and relax and have a fun time as friends. I want to have a podcast and I like that they help me and these guys want to help me, but I have to set some parameters, and if they're not followed, I'm gonna have to get stricter. Like I already did an episode where I named it the Wolfpack, and now I'm gonna have to fucking actually do it and make the red shirts and make the Wolfpack. I squashed it. I didn't do anything with it, and now I'm gonna have to do it. Which brings us to our episode.
Doesn't that? It worked out so good. That was perfect. Oh man.
The descent in the NWO. So, Spring Stampede, 1998. We wanted to find an episode that I'm like, hey, let's do a Wolfpack one. And this is a Wolfpack one, but it isn't. This is the kind of the birth of the Wolfpack, and it's the birthing of the Wolfpack.
Yeah, I would probably guess by what happens in a couple of the matches that would have been like the following Nitro. The split would have happened.
Yeah,
that's right. Or if like it has to be that week, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. I think the next pay-per-view, for sure they have to have the red and black.
Yeah.
But so shit, I guess we'll get to that. But yeah, we'll get to that match when it comes to it. But the descent is already showing in the NWO. Machaman is gonna face Sting in the main event. They show a little promo before they get into any of the matches, and it's Hogan. No, it's Machaman saying, "I'm gonna take control, Hogan, of the NWO." Yeah, because Hogan doesn't want anyone with the fucking title. Hogan wants the title, and that's it. He wants to be the leader of the NWO. The leader has to have the championship, no matter what. So you guys got to get my back. And it's like, well, what if I want to be the leader? Nope, sorry, that's not how it works. So Hogan, and they kind of put it into the storyline of the NWO where it worked out. And you see Nash kind of dissenting as well. You have Macho Man dissenting from Hogan's control because they want shots at the belt. And this is where I believe Razor or Scott Hall was having alcohol issues. So at this time he was stepping away, being in rehab. Eventually, they bring the storyline into the actual wrestling or into the kayfabe, and they have him coming out drunk, and they come drinking, smoking cigarettes. I don't know if you've seen those.
Oh, I've seen those. I remember watching the Scott Hall documentary.
They probably put that footage
3 years ago, and they were talking about it, and I was thinking, back in the late 90s, like, okay, well, that's kind of cool, like whatever. Like then you find out it's real, and you're like, like. Then 20 years later, like Eric Bischoff is still getting heat for allowing that to go on. And
this is before, I guess, it got out of control. So they're like, hey, let's just throw it into the storyline. Yeah, it's a problem, but it's a behind the scenes problem. So we don't know, but it'll work as a storyline. So let's use it as a storyline. It won't hurt nobody. And it turned out Hall kept going and going and going.
Yeah, until Scott Hall almost like died in the ring on like a couple separate occasions, just from being so intoxicated. Like doing like indie house shows and showing up. I mean,
dude, I almost cried, man, because so in college I didn't have a lot of time to watch wrestling, so I stepped away while I was pledging. Like Monday was our pledging meeting day, exactly at the time that Raw would be on, and we weren't paying for cable because we're fucking broke ass students. And so I stayed away from it, and I lived there for fucking 6 years, and then I had a night job, so I couldn't really watch wrestling, and streaming was what it was. So I actually need to go back and do a lot of those 6 years, those WrestleManias that I was away. I need to figure out which years those were. But I didn't get to see a lot of wrestling. I don't know where I was going with that. Freaking ripped.
Oh, with the Scott Hall,
Oh,
and when
okay.
you like,
Oh yeah, yeah. And then for some reason I was watching YouTube, and it was a Scott Hall like mini documentary, like
hmm
ESPN one, like a 20-minute one or
oh,
something.
like those like the E60s that they put out, like
Yeah, it was really
yeah.
bad, dude. Like I got really sad, and I'm like, holy shit, is that what's happening to fucking Hall?
Is that the
He
one
was
where
all
they had to like help him walk to the ring, and he was
yeah,
trying to do like the wolf pack, he couldn't get his
yeah.
fingers to
And
work,
they're
like
booing him, and he's trying to wrestle, but like he can't even move.
yeah,
Like he can barely walk. Like he's like
like
hobbled
the
over. It's just
like the guys were like he was like doing like a small punch, and the guys were
mhm.
like trying to sell it as if it was like
Yeah.
legit, and it's like
Hmm.
oh man,
Dude,
it
they
was
helped him
bad for
in and out of the
everyone.
ring. Like it was
Mhm.
just bad. He's trying to do the wolf pack, and his hands are like halfway up. Like he can't get them up past a certain point.
And to think like he didn't even get clean from that for like an additional 8 9 years, because it's only been in the last 5 years that it's really
Yeah.
life's changed for him with DDP and all that stuff.
Yeah, like I got really sad when I saw that, and then once I got back from U of I started watching more wrestling, and because my brother was still watching it, and I got back, and he's like, "Oh, have you been keeping up with it?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "This Daniel Bryan guy, and this guy, and this guy, and that guy," and I'm like, "Holy shit, who are these new guys?" But what had happened was this all new batch of stars had just come up. I kind of tuned out for 6 years after The Rock left, after fucking Stone Cold,
After
after
the big guys,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and then WCW was dead, and they did their failed project in the
the invasion angle and that
yeah,
stuff.
the whole invasion angle. Like I stood around till after, like once Edge started getting the title, that's when I took off to U of I. So 2007,
Yeah, as in
um,
Sarah 0607.
I stopped watching around then because '07 was in October, or sorry, August is when I took off to U of I. So
Okay.
that's no fucking cable, no time to watch it, pledging. I lost a lot of so I lost a lot of those Edge years, and it's funny because a lot of people hold Edge to such a high place, and I'm not saying I don't, but like a champion level. I didn't see him ascend to those levels. I saw him as champion, tag champion,
Right.
and kind of developing more into intercontinental champion, and that's where he was kind of at where I left. It's just that the top guys left, so they needed new top guys, and Edge was one of the guys that stepped up. You had your John Cena's. Everyone, like, people would be like, "Wow, John Cena sucks." I'm like, look, everyone left, dude. Cena
Yeah.
took the reins. Like, you can't blame the guy. I
See,
don't.
that's kind of like where I lost when Bischoff gave Triple H the big gold belt,
Hmm.
and they split the brands and everything like that. And it just seemed like whenever I'd watch it, Triple H was always a champion, and uh, on SmackDown it was like Batista, Edge, and Randy Orton were just trading it over and over and over again. And then on Raw, either Triple H was the champ or John Cena was the champ. I was like, to me, it got boring just to see like just the same names over and over and over. That I kind of stepped away around that time.
Hmm.
But it was probably around 2010, 2011 there, like when NXT or the Nexus, whatever, it invaded
Yeah,
WWE.
I didn't see that.
That's kind of like where I started getting back into it, because I wanted to see who these new guys were that I heard so much about on the NXT like reality show, I guess it was originally, and I never got a chance to see that. So to me, like, I was excited to see this new talent, and that kind of got me back into it. But it still took me a number of years before I was really back into it.
Hmm. I had lost a little bit of touch with Jesus because I was over at U of I and he was over here in Chicago still. I got back. I was watching wrestling, and then I reached out to him. I'm like, "Hey, we should hang out." And then he's like, "Yeah." And then I'm like, "Yeah, let's hang out." And we finally did. And then we started hanging out more and more and more, and then talking about wrestling, just hanging out, talking about wrestling, hanging out. And then I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I'm like, "Hey, why don't we start a podcast?" And then he's like, "All right, let next week." And then we started it, and we didn't name it, and we named it after the first episode that day.
Okay.
After we were done, we're like, what should we name it? We were looking up names. So if you go back and listen to the first episode, we even talk about how there's no name. We're like, what should we name this? We're like, I don't know, something. We're like, we'll look for it as this. If not, we'll let you know. And yeah, we came across Full Heel podcast, or we just thought about it after like a couple of mistries.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know where that story was headed, but let's go back to, I guess, Spring Stampede. Yeah, no, but I was really let down with the whole thing. But they brought it into, full circle. They brought it into WCW. It went a lot further than it should, but you could kind of see the descent. Well, no, you see the descent between these guys, and it's not all the way there because Machaman hasn't won the title yet, and Hogan and Nash have a match here, so you kind of
they're teaming up. Yeah.
you see what transpires here. But the opening match is the ever so rising Goldberg taking on Perry Saturn with hair.
Yeah, I was gonna say a very hairy Perry Saturn.
Yeah, featuring hair.
Yeah, when he came out, I was just like, whoa, like I don't ever remember seeing him with hair at any point. I think even in the video games, he was always bald.
With the goofy eye.
Yeah.
You can see it a little bit actually. It shows face. It's all goofy.
Which is funny because like his one lazy eye, they started making him wear contact, which drew even more attention to it being lazy. Because if it wasn't bad enough, like...
it's draw attention to his fucking goofy eyes. Yes. So me and Jeff did an ECW one, like an ECW, like an actual.
I remember that one, yeah.
Perry had long ass hair, like long hair.
Really?
Yeah. So when you're like, it was weird to see him. I expected to see him with long hair, but no, it was more cut and more like grunge at the time.
Yeah.
It was fitting because he was
fitting in the Flock.
Yeah, he was in the Flock, I think, at this time. Yeah, because Kidman was with him.
Oh, Kid. So I always knew that Kidman, like the one from the Flock.
Yeah. I
had no idea up until maybe like 2 years ago that he was supposed to be a heroin addict.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea. Like, I mean, I guess when you're like, 12, 13 years old, you don't know the signs to look for. But when I was listening to someone, it may have been like a Stone Cold podcast or something, and they talked about his heroin angle. I'm like, heroin angle? I went back and I'm like, he's scratching, he's got the bags in his eyes, his shirt's up. I'm like, oh my God, they actually made this guy's character be a heroin, like just a off the street junkie that can wrestle. Like, oh my God. The 90s were a whole different beast, man.
Hey, Jesus reminded me of that he was a heroin addict. I just knew he was like a grungy guy, and he's like, you remember he was a heroin addict, right? Like when we started doing these, and I'm like, really? And then I would watch it, and I'd be like, holy shit, they were making him as a heroin addict. And then eventually he dropped that, and Tori Wilson was his valet at one point. Was it Tori Wilson? Someone hot.
Yeah.
Super hot.
Yeah, it was Tori, yeah, because they were married or something for a while.
Oh, in real life?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
If they were released together, they were like a serious couple. I just remember like hating him for years because of that. Like,
yeah. I remember this Kidman, but I also remember the Kidman that eventually leaves the Flock and becomes cruiserweight champion.
I think there was actually a Nitro. Maybe that's where I heard it on like the Best of Nitro, where they talked about him leaving the Flock and getting clean, and he comes out with like the white tank top, and he's like, I think that could have been where they were referencing stuff like that.
Yeah, he comes out with a tank top now and jean shorts, but his shirts aren't all ripped up or anything. But that was his thing afterwards. And I remember he would hold it for a while. The title, he was kind of like their centerpiece. After the cruiserweights had all like throughout the early 90s, he got the late 90s centerpiece to beating all the cruiserweights around there and shit.
Well, because all the good guys were jumping ship because they saw what was happening.
Yeah.
All that was left was like
exactly.
All they had left pretty much was like Ray and Kidman, and there was a couple other like Shannon Moore and those Evan Courageous.
Yeah, they eventually do all start leaving for WWE.
Yeah, they saw
Jericho's like one of the first ones. The Radicals do it.
Yeah,
they lose a lot of their young talent. Perry Saturn was one of the Radicals with Guerrero.
Yeah,
Dean Malenko and fucking Chris Benoit. So it's a giant chunk.
That's a huge.
We're gonna get to talk about Benoit right now, so we'll get to him when we get to him. This was a build-up match for Goldberg, part of his streak. It was like 190-something matches, something ridiculous. I think there's only like 30-something recorded, but they shot up that number by like 100 matches.
Yeah, like he would go out. I remember someone was like if you watched Nitro one Monday, he'd be like, yeah, and he's 34-0. And then the following Nitro, it's like he's 44-0. Like, how do you fight 10 times in a week? Like, I get house shows, okay, sure, but he's fighting 3 times in a night now. Like, it's like if he had a handicap match, they would count it as 2 kind of deal. Like, it was so weird.
How they build him, I guess he would be able to fight 3 matches in the night. But
Yeah, especially if he's doing those like 30-second squashes.
yeah, this one wasn't that much of a squash, though. It was actually an 8-minute match. And,
Yeah,
you had a little bit of interference from Kidman, but they actually let Perry wrestle with him a little bit.
it was it was cool too, because if you go back and you watch a lot of Goldberg's like early stuff, it was he would take a little bit of a beating because he was green, so they wanted to like really rough him up, and then he would like fight back and boom, get the win. And then other times he would just either squash him really quick. So here I'd actually see him have to like wrestle with a good technical wrestler, actually have to do certain moves that he probably hadn't seen him do yet. But I mean, he was a very athletic guy back in the day, so you knew he could do some of the things. But to see him actually put it together in a match was really cool.
Yeah, they let him wrestle a little bit more. Very, very. No, dude, you should go back and see some. Regal really put it to him one time. He wanted to wrestle with him, and he made him look stupid.
Oh, really?
Regal, yeah, William Regal. There's controversy behind that because Regal's like, look, I just went out there and wrestled. A lot of people say that the people backstage told him to put it to Goldberg to give it to him.
Oh, okay.
Since he was he actually could wrestle. Like I think he actually took wrestling, and Goldberg was a football player, so he didn't know holds and anything like that. So
Right.
really, if you go back and watch the match, it's one of the matches that he struggles the most, and it's against William Regal, so that's why it's really weird. William Regal,
Right, yeah.
like European champion was probably the best, or yeah, I don't remember him being that much more here, at least in WCW.
Yeah, like he was one of those guys with like tag teams, and he was a good like mid card fighter, but you wouldn't expect him, I guess, to give him trouble to a guy who's like Goldberg that they were trying to build up. So
yeah, let's see. Anything else on this match, Ryan?
no, like I said, I was just actually really impressed that they actually let Goldberg and Saturn actually do their little angle. And then they announced, that the winner, or they might not have been the winner. I think they might just even said that Goldberg the following night, Nitro was going to get the U.S. title shot.
Oh yeah, he got whoever
he was going to face the winner of the Raven DDP match later that night.
Mm-hmm. And the only thing I guess I forgot to say is Goldberg was treating Kidman like shit. He was just tossing him around. And Perry was getting tossed around a lot too, but he was taking him inside the ring.
Yeah.
And he was landing like properly, but like he darted Kidman to the outside at one point. I was like, holy shit, dude, calm the fuck down.
Hey, I almost wonder if he didn't realize how much lighter Kidman was going to be than Saturn. Like maybe he was just like, in the move, like boom, 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 and then turn around like, throw him really lightly, but it
looked like
just
he spiked him at one point and Perry Saturn to the outside. I was like, holy shit. Yeah, but Goldberg picks up the victory on his winning streak. Match number 2, Último Dragón taking on Chavo Guerrero with Eddie Guerrero on the outside with the super mullet. I don't know
yeah.
Sweet.
I love that Eddie Guerrero. Like that takes me back to the WCW. That to me that's my Eddie.
Mm-hmm. That's badass Eddie Guerrero. Well, he gets super fucking wide chest and jacked in fucking WWE when he moves on. He's got to be one of the big guys to put on the big strap, the heavyweight strap on him. But you could see how great of an actor Eddie Guerrero was here. I'm being on the outside, managing his nephew. I don't recall if he gets involved in the match, like interference wise.
The only thing he really did was scream things
very vocal
at Chavo, or he would look at the camera and be like, "Oh, like why isn't he pinning him?" Or what do you think?
He was almost the narrator of the match, though. It was very. I enjoyed it very much. It was.
Yeah. I liked it, but I almost wish that they didn't put so much focus on him. And but it's like they only did it when
this leads into the feud that they have.
Okay.
Yeah, this leads into a feud that him and Chavo have, and Chavo separates from his uncle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because Eddie keeps doing this and costing the matches.
Yeah, because it seemed like the only time that they would really turn to him was when both guys were down, or like it was like a just like a weak hold that wasn't going to end the
Hmm.
match, and they'd show him. But no, I really liked it. I One thing I didn't realize how much of a flyer Chavo was, because I
Hmm.
know him more like his WWE, WWF days where he would fly here and there, but he was a lot more like ground technician. So seeing him with like that lucha style was I really really enjoyed watching that
Well,
part.
he's super tiny, dude. Like, well, his like could not compare to Ray or anything, but like for what he became in the WWE, even himself, he's not super jacked, but he put on
Right.
muscle when he came to the WWE.
Yeah, so that's what I remember him
He's
as, where
super
he like
young
he
here. I don't
yeah,
know how young he
and
is.
I think we talked about this last time or once before, but with like Ultimo Dragon, like is so much fun to watch. Like
Yeah.
that Dragon Sleeper finisher was
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
good. Like
Yeah, so you have Eddie yelling at Chavo because he won't capitalize and he won't go for the covers right after the pins. He's more waiting on Dragon to go at him. Like after he executes a move, he waits for Dragon to get up and come at him for in order for him to go for something instead of picking him up. And Eddie's yelling at him the whole time on the outside. But it's a distraction for Chavo, and eventually it winds up costing Chavo. I forgot what the finisher was ultimately with
it
that
was
one.
Chavo had done one move, and Eddie was saying pin him, and he wasn't. And when he stood up, he went to do the tornado
There we go.
DDT, and when he flipped over, and Ultimo just like kind of reversed it
He
into
wrapped his
wraps his arm around him,
mhm.
and then gets him to
Dragon
tap
slept him.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And then
it was
Eddie goes
a
in and
really cool
slaps him.
finisher.
He's
Yeah,
slapping
gets in his face.
he's slapping Chavo a bunch, and Chavo doesn't do anything. He's not gonna disrespect his uncle, which he will eventually. You
And
know,
then
have
there was the one point where he's like screaming at the camera, or camera's right on Eddie, I should say, and he's screaming at Chavo. I was like, "What would your mother say? What are you doing?" I was like,
yeah,
"Oh God, like, bringing mom into this now.
yeah.
Here we go."
Well, it's a long line of it's a Guerrero
There's
family of wrestlers.
there's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like the Mexican hearts.
Hmm. One of the reasons I forget the guy's name that was portraying a terrorist in WWE told
Oh
told
yes, yes, yes.
told Eddie to you got to ask me permission to use a camel clutch, and Eddie Guerrero's uncle is one of the guys that like invented it.
Seriously?
Yeah, and Eddie was like, "What the fuck?" And they took that guy to wrestler court because he was being an asshole because it was his finisher at the time, and he was
Right.
using it, and then Eddie was just using it as a regular move, and this guy came up to Eddie and said, "Hey, you're making my finisher look weak. You got to ask me if you want to use it." And then
I kind of get that because Stone Cold has come out and said, like, with everyone doing like the stunners, like Kevin Owens and John Cena were doing stunners and getting like one counts or two counts, and he was like, he did say the same kind of thing, like that's my finisher, man. Like
yeah,
I like that you're adapting it in that, but like,
but
but
from the
also
story,
there's a
I think he did it very disrespectfully. Like he didn't come at Eddie respectfully and tell him, "Hey,
right,
like could you not?"
and there is a bit of a difference between a guy like Stone Cold and a guy who portrayed, yeah, like a
And Eddie's hot headed, bro.
well, yeah, and that guy though that I
I
can't
forget
think
his
of
name.
Hassan, who's
Yeah, something like that.
yeah, he was there with Davari. That's all I remember.
Hmm.
And yeah, I remember like he was there for like 3 4 months maybe. Like he wasn't even there that long
Well, like he had
to
like a
justify
hit
those.
squad or something, and then like 9/11 happened. They're like, "Oh shit." Uh,
Yeah.
was it around that time? I don't remember.
Oh no, it was the London bombings,
Okay, okay.
and they filmed SmackDown on the Tuesday, and it happened on the Tuesday, and what they had the Undertaker was carried off by a bunch of masked Arabs
Hmm.
in like camo gear, and they decided on Thursday or Friday, whenever it was, we can still air it, and everyone was like, yeah, that's not good to show. And then instead of like saying sorry, they just fired the guy instead, like
Yeah,
cut our losses that way instead. Like, oh Jesus,
you're out of here. What did I do?
yeah, you let you do this.
Yeah, you let us convince you, bro. Sorry, you're out of here.
Oh man.
Let's see.
But that Chavo and Alto match was really fun. It brought the pace up from the Goldberg like
Hmm.
hard knock fight. This one kind of like built it up, like high energy. which kind of carried on for the next and into the next match too. So
Yeah, the next match we had Booker T taking on Chris Benoit for the television championship. It's an extended time limit. I think there's a 10-minute time limit on the television title when it's defended on regular television, but on the pay-per-views, I'm not sure if it's unlimited or 15. Because
they said unlimited on this card.
Because they've done unlimited before.
Yeah, because I didn't realize that there was actual time limits until I don't know if it was Tony Schiavone or Heenan, but someone had mentioned, and there's the 10-minute mark, and as you can tell, there's no horn for the time limit. And I had to look it up because I didn't realize that there was actual like time limit rules that they had on that belt. I don't know what the reasoning really was. I guess just to keep it on the champion for a bit longer, but I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
But
I just defended on TV, but fucking this Nitro was 3 hours long, so
you would think time. I don't get why there was the time limit. They probably had their reasons back then to do it, but I mean this one still. I mean they only went a few minutes after. It wasn't like when they said like, "Yo, we're into overtime now." I was thinking like, "Oh, this thing's gonna go like another like 15 minutes or something," but it wasn't. Didn't get that long. I think actually went like 15 total or thereabouts.
Man, it's tough this one because Chris Benoit, like, it's a matter of separating the wrestler from what he's done, but like so many guys are doing it now in the UFC with their CTE.
Yeah,
they're doing a lot of crazy shit. It's hard, man.
It's one of those things like I've had to after everything that went down with Benoit, I was just like it was hard for me to watch him for a while. But
I don't glorify him. I can talk about him. I can glorify him if we're having a conversation, but I'm not actively putting it out there, actively stating that he's one of the greatest because of what he's done.
And I'll always state that what he did up to that point, his career to whatever happened, like I'm taking nothing away from him. Just like Michael Vick, his career up to the dogfighting thing, I think he was a tremendous quarterback. Mm-hmm. But he's forever going to be tied to what he did, just like Benoit. Like I don't. It's hard. Like he, as a performer, he was unbelievable. You could see him do so many different styles. He had a phenomenal match with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania, I think about 15 years or so ago, 12 years ago, and I watched that match and like. I want to enjoy it a lot more, but I can't. Like you said, like I can't get into it as much as I used to be able to, which really sucks.
Yeah, I don't go look for his matches. I'll watch them because of the pay-per-views. They're on the pay-per-views. I'll watch them, break them down, and let people know how good he was. But like I said, I can't go out there and just be like, "Oh, he was the greatest." Just like putting out posts, like single posts on it. I just feel weird. And like a lot of people do it. They're like, "Oh, what are your thoughts on this guy?" And it's like It's like, you know my thoughts, but I'm not going to glorify.
And there's still people that say that it was all set up too, which is like,
by who, man? By who? Like, right? Like
they all say. Apparently, Kevin Sullivan. I mean, because it was around this time I think too that everything was happening with those guys, like 97, 98.
Yeah. So for those people that don't know and are new to wrestling, it's an old story. Chris Benoit from CTE. It said that his brain was the brain of like a fucking 90-year-old guy. Like they had not seen a brain like that ever, and he wound up killing his wife and killing his son and hanging himself.
Yeah, just
complete tragedy. I don't know what else could be said about that. It sucks. It sucks because like. Actively right now, I hate Greg Hardy, dude, and I hate that piece of shit because he's trying to defend what he's done. Chris Benoit didn't defend, and I'm not saying it's right what he did, but it's not like he tried to defend what he did. He killed himself. There was no defending. It was over. He did what he did, and that was it. It was done. Greg Hardy apparently, allegedly, like harassed her for not go to court and not testify. And I don't know if they settled out of court, but like she never showed up. I wonder why.
Yeah.
So like he's actively trying to defend himself.
Well, and then
hitting women.
And then his head trainer comes out, or his head coach, and I've seen what this guy can do, and I've seen his ex, and let me tell you, if he laid hands on her, she would probably be dead. He's a good guy. I'm like, that's something that you don't say. I don't like when you're that close to the situation, you don't open your mouth and say something as stupid as that. Like, now you're just making the hate towards him even more. Like,
Yeah. Oh, he wasn't in a blind rage, so come on, forgive the guy. He only hit
Yeah.
his wife. He wasn't
Yeah.
trying to kill her.
yeah, like,
He beat her
I
knowingly.
didn't realize that was
Allegedly.
okay.
Yeah.
Like, well, and you think like like you hear that story and you're like, oh, whatever, blah blah. Like, you know who else had that exact same argument for a couple of years was O.J. Simpson,
Yeah.
and look how that turned out. Like, so I mean, don't say that this and that other thing. I think it's no, like, I mean,
Yeah.
it sucks because these guys don't necessarily, like a guy like Benoit that didn't probably necessarily want to do what he did, but like that like his brain was not functioning. He was, from every story and everything that they say, he thought that this was happening in his personal life and this was happening in his professional life, and he couldn't figure out which way to do it, and he didn't know what was going to happen, and he just lost it. That was it. He was done.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, But then you see a match like this, and you're like, man, like I want to really, like you watch this match, and all you think of is that. That's your first thought. It's Chris Benoit. You think of the murder suicide.
It's like, dude, like you fucked us, man. You gave us all these good ass fucking matches, and then you went and you did this.
Yeah.
It's like you fucked us because it's hard to talk about now, and like some of the greatest matches are between Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and Kurt Angle. Between those three guys, even with those three guys at the same time, we had triple threat matches, and those were some of the greatest matches of all time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to talk about them because of, you don't want to bring up a sensitive subject if it's if I don't know, it's hard to bring up a sensitive subject like that around people that don't want to hear it because it's
exactly, yeah. And that's and like you said, it's forever connected. Mm-hmm. Like if he had decided, you know what, I can't do this anymore, and he had just killed himself. Like if that was it, you're just like, oh God, that's like whatever. But like, it's when you bring the wife and child into it, that's where it goes to that level of like, you can't look at him the same way no matter what.
Yeah, if he would have just offed himself, that would have been like, oh shit. But like, no, he took out his wife and kids, man. That's
because you think of a guy like Junior Seau, he killed himself tragically, but he's still remembered as a legend, as an icon, and that because that's what it is like people understand now why these guys are doing these things, and a lot of these guys are still looked at and viewed at as legends in their respective sport. It's the guys that go that next level of horror that's not forgiven.
Yeah, but man, him and Booker T, incredible fucking match, dude.
Great match, great. Like Booker, I didn't realize Booker T was a solo wrestler this early on. I thought it was a lot later.
Oh no, well his brother joins the NWO.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I don't remember Big Stevie in the NWO.
Stevie's in the NWO.
Oh my God, it was like the Horace Hogan NWO kind of thing. I feel like I don't remember Stevie Ray in the NWO. I looked that up.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% positive it happened.
It makes sense as to why they're going to give a singles push.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. These guys put on an incredible match. The finisher comes to Booker T's going for that scissor kick that he does to behind the head, but Benoit pulls the referee, and the referee gets kicked in the face. And Booker T goes to talk to the ref to try to wake him up. And Chris Benoit gets the crippler crossface in, and he's got it
right.
in. He's got it in, and Booker's crawling to the ropes, grabs the rope, and then Chris Benoit gets up and gets the ref up, which he's the one that caused to get knocked out in the first place. So good one there, Chris. And then this gives time for Booker T to recover. He gets up and hits that kick that he does to.
That was pretty cool to go over the ref and hit Benoit.
Yeah. Which the ref got pulled into the first time. So.
But the what I didn't care a lot for the ending
Mm-hmm.
because like the
It was a
referee's
little
out
weird.
and he does like the one tap like he's reaching and then he does the second tap like he's reaching and then his arm goes from in front of him to the side. He gets to the rope
Mm-hmm.
and then but Bobby Heenan's like, oh, he tapped out. We have a new champion. And I'm thinking like he did one, which isn't a tap out. It's supposed to be three.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, he's not. It's still looking like he's reaching kind of for the rope, but then when he moves his arm all the way to the opposite side and reaches the rope, and I don't know for the referee
They
to
should have
get
made
not,
that a little bit clearer. Like, is he
yeah,
tapping and then the ref
like
is out?
if he taps and the ref's out, I feel like it's a lot better because then Benoit stands up.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
he's reaching for the rope, knowing that the referee's out. So what's the like? I guess maybe you want to keep Booker as a face. You don't want to turn him like do the heel move of tap out to
Yeah,
trick the good guy kind of thing. You want to keep him as a face still, maybe. But
it was a little weird there.
and then for the referee, like I love bad ref bumps
Mm-hmm.
because the referee, so Booker T hits it. The referee goes 1, 2, 3, and then passes out again. And it takes 2 referees to get. I'm like, thank God he was conscious for those 4 seconds
Yeah.
to count the pinfall.
And then needed to get carried out of there.
Yeah, it's like oh, I mean, that was a little weak there, but like I'd say it was like a B minus finish for an A minus match.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably say that'd be the best way. Like the finish kind of took away for me, but
I could
you
see
saw
that.
saw a lot of classic moves like Benoit's flying headbutt, the axe kick. You got the spinneroonie was brought out. They got their stuff in there and crammed it into about 12, 15 minutes, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good match between the two.
Yeah, enjoyed it a lot. Booker T keeps his television title. Next match, we had Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, with Rick Rude. They're both in the NWO, taking on the British Bulldog with Jim the Animal Neidhart. This was a quick match because they took a long time on the outside with the before. We had they were gonna handcuff Rick Rude to Neidhart, but Rick Rude was refusing, and then eventually it happened because he was gonna throw he was gonna throw Rick Rude out if he didn't.
Right.
Like we had a quick match because it must have been a no disqualification match, but they were handcuffed to the outside to each other, and one of the cops gives a key to Rude, and Neidhart starts choking the cop, which it later turns out to be Vincent from the NWO.
And if you couldn't tell that, like he comes out, I'm like, oh, it's Virgil.
Yeah.
And
is it Virgil here or is it Vincent?
He was
I don't
Virgil. And, I only knew it was Virgil. They said Vincent on the commentary.
Okay.
But it was so funny. Like, hey, it's Virgil. Like it's like whatever. And then the camera's square on his face, and they're like, he's attacking an officer, and then it took his hat falling off, and Bobby Heenan's like, oh, it was Vincent. The cop was Vincent. I'm like, oh, come on, like.
Yeah, they played it off really bad. But
it was a weird finish, though.
Yeah, really weird. And
hits his head on like the pole, like above the turnbuckle. Like that was it. Like it. It was a weird match overall. Like
it was more for the NWO to beat up British Bulldog, or Kurt Hennig and Rick Rude to beat up the British Bulldog while Neidhart was handcuffed to the outside.
Yeah, and I fucking love Neidhart when Rick Rude takes the nightstick and starts to choke him. Instead of like making the face of he can't breathe, you could see he's like getting angrier, like he's trying to like Hulk up or something. He's like, you're not choking me.
Yeah.
He's like, you better hope I don't break this handcuff.
Rick Rude chokes out British Bulldog in the ring with the nightstick. They just give it to
lay
Bulldog.
The boots to him a bit.
Yeah.
One thing I was kind of shocked was that Kurt Hennig didn't have I thought they would have given him like a white and black onesie during his NWO run, but
he wore the same shit.
He come up with that bright yellow, and it's like kind of, I don't know. I think in the video game maybe he had black and white, or you could alter it.
You can alter it, but no, he always had his gear. He always came out with a shirt sometimes, the NWO shirt, and he would just take it off and have his regular gear under.
Yeah, so it was weird to see like the NWO, and then like one of the guys would be like super bright colors, like almost like a face or like from the 80s when he was big and that. So that caught me off guard a bit, but
If you
otherwise,
missed the entrance or the end of the match, you wouldn't know it was NWO. You just be like, oh,
no,
Kurt
yeah.
Hennig won.
If you watched it with the volume off, you wouldn't. If you didn't hear the music, yeah, you said it, you wouldn't have any idea what's going on. You think it's early '90s WWF, basically.
Yeah, yeah. All right. That was like we said, that was a quick match. The next match after that was Chris Jericho, Lionheart, taking on Prince Iaukea for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship.
WCW's The Rock.
Yeah.
Like the was it the Anoa'i family that belongs to WWF? So WCW wanted to get their own Samoan, so they brought in Prince Iaukea.
Which he's pretty hilarious when he gets hit or when he's trying to get some offense. He makes some weird noises, or when he gets hit and it takes hits, hey! He's like yelling.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed it during the match.
I didn't notice that. That's funny.
I don't know if he just did it. I heard it a couple times. It was when he was trying to like muster some offense. But so Chris Jericho has the title and he's coming off of some kind of feud with Dean Malenko. And Chris Jericho's the man of 1,004 holds because Dean Malenko's the man of 1,000 holds. So Chris Jericho to up him got 4 more holds.
One of my all-time favorite promos in any organization in like my entire life of watching wrestling now, watching this stuff from before I was born. When he took out that computer printout paper and starts naming off in alphabetical order every single thing. They go to a commercial break and comes back and he's still reading the list of like this. Like
genius. He's genius.
So, even this match, the promo he cut during his intro was so good. Like you could see.
You want me, and then he gets like squats down, like forward, and he just smiles at the cam all weird.
Yeah, you could see glimpses of what Jericho would become here. Like if you give him the time on camera with the mic, you could see what he could do, and they just never gave him the chance. Like
and he'll eventually leave, and WCW will regret that. They could have kept a major key that WWF used. They could have used them better in WWF, but they used them how they wanted to use them to advance everyone, I guess. But he takes on Prince Iaukea in a pretty. It's a good match. It's,
really entertaining match. Really entertaining.
Yeah, not super high flying or anything on Chris Jericho's part, but he's not that kind of guy. He has his moonsaults off the second rope and stuff like that, but he's not like the matches that we come to see in WCW with later we'll see Psychosis and La Parka. But we have like the Rey Mysterios versus Ultimo Dragons. I think we discussed last time. If not, I did with someone else with like Jesus or I don't know. But still a very good match. We have one of my favorite submission locks put in. Chris Jericho's Lion Tamer, where he's almost putting the knee behind the head. Doing the Boston Crab. It's a variation. It's his move.
So good, yeah. I remember him doing it to like getting that hold. So like it wasn't just like grab the legs and turn over. Like he would do it like from Hurricane Ranas. He would reverse it. Do it like he would like even I forget how he sets it up, but I feel like it was set up different. Like Iaukea was on the offense and Jericho did something to lock it in. Like I feel like I forget the exact way the match ended, but I want to say that it was a reversal that he turned it into.
I don't remember exactly what, but it was definitely the Lion Tamer that he finished the match off with. Looks very painful. Retains his Cruiserweight Championship, furthering the feud, I guess, with not Prince Iaukea, but Dean Malenko. Because he mentioned them in the beginning.
Yeah,
or mentioned something about him.
Yeah, no, it was a good match. Like, it's different to see like a younger Chris Jericho because like you see where he is now, and like obviously age you can't do those certain moves for your whole career. So to go back and revisit him younger was really cool to see him as the cruiserweight, not as a intercontinental title or a heavyweight guy or stuff like that.
And he's probably right now the flag. No, not probably. He is the flagship right now of AEW.
Oh yeah, it's either him or Ambrose, one of the two. Well, now his music did WWE alter it on
I think
the
they altered
network?
stuff. I'm pretty sure they
'Cause
altered stuff.
when I heard his music, I didn't think I thought that Jim Johnston from WWE wrote his music. I thought I heard that somewhere,
Hmm.
and when I heard it in WCW, it didn't seem right. And I know that they've done it in the past where they've changed theme
I'm pretty
songs.
sure they
And
did alter because I don't know if you noticed during the NWO entrance, Nash came out to one, and I think Bobby the Brain Heenan or one of the commentators mentioned that Hogan would come out to Voodoo Child,
yeah,
but he
that's right.
didn't.
No, he came up to the regular one,
Yeah, they might not have wanted to pay for the rights to
paid the
Voodoo Child.
royalties.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it caught me off guard to hear the WWF intro song for Jericho, and I didn't think he had that in WCW, but I'm not as deep into WCW to know the
Yeah, I don't think he
nuances of
had it.
that.
He wasn't. No, because Y2 that was the Y2J
Because
thing.
and he was always talking about break down the walls because
Hmm.
his finisher was the walls of Jericho in
Yeah.
WWF. So
Yeah,
like
no, that's that. I think they definitely dubbed it over because that that thing didn't. He wasn't. Yeah, he did. He was Y2J in WWF. That was his thing coming in
yeah, okay,
with
yeah,
the countdown. Remember, he was coming in, and then it
yeah.
was
That's right. Like,
Y2J.
the clock go down.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which he kept for a while. Like he furthered that, but that's how he came in with the clock. So yeah, it was yeah, that was kind of weird. I think they did dub
that
a
was
lot
the
of
one
stuff
thing.
over.
That was the one thing that I noticed. I was like, oh, okay, but
Hmm. After that, we had Rick Steiner taking and Lex. Sorry, Rick Steiner and Lex Luger tagging up against Scott Steiner and Buff Bagwell.
Scotty on all the juice. He went back in the time machine to like 1970s Germany and like grabbed everything that they had
Yeah,
off the shelf. Like,
he's always looked like he's been on the juice, but in this one, you could tell that he's like on double the juice when he's in his
well,
singles career.
well, I was telling you after I finished that match, like him walking out, not even flexing his muscles. His arms were the size of freaking Buff Bagwell's head.
Yeah, and
Like it's like there's put bowling balls in his arms. Like
the,
it was ridiculous, man. It
can't call him
did
Buff.
not look did not look healthy.
On all the steroids, it looked like his skin was gonna rip open.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. But so Buff Bagwell comes out and says he can't fight because he's got a cast on his hand. So I forgot who one of the chairmen comes out for WCW and says they got to check his hand. And he's like, all right, bring the doctor in. And then Scott Steiner's like, where's the NWO doctor? He's like calling for the
Yeah.
NWO doctor.
Yeah.
But they bring in the regular one and they take off the phony cast right away and he uses his hand and the match. So right away,
Yeah, that's right.
right
Yeah.
away, Rick Steiner and Lex Luger come out. Rick Steiner jets to the ring and immediately starts getting beat up. He's trying to get the offense going, but it doesn't go his way. He gets beat up for like 4 minutes.
Yeah, he takes a good beating in this match.
Yeah, and then eventually Lex Luger comes in, and I forget how they pick up the victory.
Uh, it's torture rack on Bagwell. Oh, Rick chases Scott away from the ring, and then it basically comes down to like a one-on-one, and Buff taps out to the was it not the total package? That was his nickname.
The torture rack.
Torture rack. Yeah, he taps out to that, and then Rick Steiner comes back in. They kind of do their little celebration, and but yeah, like it was just like the classic heel run away from his big brother.
Yeah, but it was very simple. Just Rick Steiner taking a beating, and then Lex Luger
Just kind of
cleaning up.
like you said about the Kurt Hennig British. It was just like a way to get like the NWO like I guess kind of setting up the next installment of the NWO, knowing what's going to happen, like trying to get a lot of heat on Bagwell and on Scott Steiner while trying to keep Lex Luger as a face, knowing that he's going to be like switching up and stuff like that.
Oh, and a little bit of backstory. So Scott Steiner, Rick Steiner, tag team, that they have a history together. But at this point, Scott had turned on Rick, joined the NWO, cut his hair, dyed it blonde, and was calling himself, I don't know if he's calling himself Big Papa Pump. He should have been by this point.
I think, yeah.
But at this point, he hadn't faced Rick Steiner face to face. He was avoiding him at all costs and would only cheap shot his brother. So they were trying to build this this match between Scott and Rick, which we eventually will get. I forget when. I don't think it was that good of a match either. And I think Scott eventually, Rick eventually wins. But
It's funny because like that storyline literally screams 3 months prior Taker and Kane to me. Like that's all I can like when I was like seeing that kind of stuff. I'm like, this sounds very familiar. Like 2 months ago, WWF was doing the exact same angle.
yeah,
You can
like we have the
tell
NWO. Scott can join.
Yeah, like WCW was like, okay, we need brothers. We got to split up some brothers. Like,
Yeah, no, and I'm pretty sure Scott wanted his singles career too after being a tag team for so long.
yeah, they did it. They did it for so long.
Yeah. So yeah, Rick and Lex win. Next match we have Psychosis taking on La Parca. La Parca, one of my favorite cruiserweights. I don't know if he really is a cruiserweight. He's kind of fat, but he's a cruiserweight.
That's what I was gonna say. I remember him always fighting for the cruiserweight title, but when I saw him in this match, he looked a little bigger. I didn't know maybe if it was like late in his career or something. Okay,
yeah, he's always been like that.
because he was really thin in the video games.
No, he's fatter now. He's always been one of my favorites. He comes out with the chair and he comes out goofy. He comes out like stepping, dancing. He's like, spinning and fucking
doing the guitar with the chair.
And he's got pretty cool music. I don't know if they dubbed it over, but he's got pretty cool intro music. If that was his music,
he was one of my favorites to play back for like N64 and that because his taunt was that entire dance move.
Yep.
And you would jump up like 3 levels if you were able to complete it without someone stopping you.
Yeah, good luck.
So you just like if you could like get the guy out the ring and do that taunt twice, you had a special instantly, just like crush the guy in no time flat.
Or just use the chair, bro. When the guy comes in with the chair, just use it. But no, these guys short match, but very very good match. And La Parca's a high flyer for being a fatty.
Yeah, a lot of fun these guys.
Yeah. I was thrown. I was thrown off by the end of the match. So
I'm pretty sure it was botched, and they had to do a quick something. That's what I felt, but I didn't look it up anywhere.
La Parca was supposed to go into the ropes and then get his legs tangled up and be hanging off of them, but he was just kind of hanging there and like, oh, I can't escape. My legs are on the rope.
yeah. It's like when I was watching him, I'm like, why is he having trouble getting his leg off? All you have to do is just move any angle.
Yeah. Just fall. Let go. Let go of the top rope, which you're holding on to. But he was positioning himself to take Psychosis's top rope leg drop, which is one of his finishers for Psychosis. And Psychosis hits it off of this guy being stuck on the second rope, which the commentators kind of allude to, but it's the camera clearly is on him, and you're like, no.
Yeah, they should have definitely. They definitely should have like moved the camera up and just shown Psychosis the whole time.
Yeah, like, hey, did the ropes cut off circulation, or what's going on?
Yeah, because I mean, like he landed on the ropes, and all of a sudden they're like, he's stuck. I'm like, he's not. I'm like, oh, he actually is. Like what was it? Like someone put some super glue on the rope or something.
Yeah,
I wasn't looking. Like why is he stuck? They reminded me kind of was it WrestleMania 10, the Shawn and Razor ladder match? I think it was that one where Shawn's leg is stuck and he's trying to get like it legit like they had the rope tangled around his leg, and just as he gets it was maybe in his arm, but he gets one tangled. But he got untangled too soon, so he had to slip either his arm had to slide in because he had to let Razor get the belt, and that's all I could think of is like you want to use the rope for cool finishes and that, but at the same time like, you gotta be careful because you're using a cable that's not exactly the easiest thing to manipulate.
Yeah. Like I said, weird finish. I don't know. I got nothing else on this. I like the match except for the finish.
Like I have said in the past, anytime the luchadors are out there, I'm always glued to the seat.
And then we had a baseball on a pole match. These guys wanted to have everything on a fucking pole match. I don't get it, WCW.
But could they have put the baseball bat a little higher?
Right. That shit was up high.
They were really selling the finish of how that bat had to get brought down. Like they were like that thing was so high up there. Like
they ignored it for a while too. For like they just had a match. They just had a regular match for a while after. Well, initially we had Piper. Well, it's Hogan and Nash taking on Piper and the Giant, and we kind of see more of the chemistry that the NWO is having with each other.
Hmm.
Roddy Piper rushes to the baseball bat and does not get it. They're fighting over it. Then they have a regular match, and I think his name is the Disciple. Yeah, it was the Disciple comes
Yeah.
out, hands Hogan a
Also known as Zodiac.
yeah. It was it Zodiac?
Yeah, that was
Oh shit! Yeah, that was
that's
him.
Brutus the
It
Barber.
doesn't
Yeah.
even look like him though at
No.
all. He's got like a beard and shit,
Yeah, it's
long
like a straight
hair.
biker guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He hands him a bat, and but they also pull down the other bat, and Hogan
I was
uses his.
confused about that.
Yeah, there was a lot of switching of the bats.
Were they only allowed to have one bat in the ring? Like I
No,
don't
so here's
like.
no, but here's the thing. So Giant was supposed to break the bat at the end of the match. The bat's rubber. They had to get the rubber bat in there to use the rubber
Oh,
bat on each other, and then at the end of the match, Giant would break the baseball
right.
bat, which was real, which might have already been broken because he just went. And I know
Oh,
he's
that
strong
thing.
and big,
Well,
but I don't know if he would have been able to break that shit like that.
I
just
don't know.
'cause
I've seen
easy.
baseball players do it in the past. Like if they strike out, they'll break it in a similar spot.
Yeah, but isn't it because
But
it cracks and they've hit it? No, that's a strikeout. Never mind, they didn't hit it. But I've seen them break it when it like cracks already. They're like fucking shit.
yeah, I don't know. I could see they don't take a risk that he couldn't break it. Like
Mhm.
they see like those guys when they're practicing beforehand and they snap it in half, and the cameras are on them and it doesn't break.
Yeah, well, later on in the match or not in the match. Later on in the next match, we have the Diamond Dallas get thrown onto a table and it breaks, and they have to use the other table and it doesn't break because one's a
Yeah,
setup table and one's not a setup table,
yeah.
and they broke the setup table. But yeah, no, these guys like ignore the bat and have a regular match, and it's a 13-minute match, and then they go back to the match, and then the ending was wonky because, like I said, they had to break the bat.
And like yeah, they really set up like that accidental Hogan hitting Nash.
Mm-hmm. The
Uh,
ending's really weird because the NWO wins, but there's dissent within it. They break up pretty much at the end,
yeah,
and at the end you have Piper and Giant kind of celebrating. So, I forgot exactly what the finish was because like it continued after, but Hogan got the win after
it
hitting
was.
Piper with the bat.
Yeah, Nash was holding Piper, and Piper moved, and Nash gets it in the
There we
stomach,
go. Yeah, there you go.
and then
The Disciple grabs the bat right from Piper when he tries to hit
he's
Hogan.
he takes the bat from Hogan. Hogan is chasing him. He's chasing Hogan. Disciple gets the bat. Hogan hits Giant. Giant was probably unconscious
He was on
before.
the outside. Yeah, he was.
He was out before Nash gets hit, and then after Piper gets hit, they finish it, and then they pick him up, we'll hit him again, and as he goes to pick him up, that's when Hogan turns on Nash and hits him with the bat and lays him out, and yeah, like you said, like Hogan and Disciple take off, and then Piper and the Giant are celebrating,
Yeah.
and it cuts away with Nash out cold in the middle of the ring from Hogan's bat shot.
Yeah, it was all a setup because they're gonna beat up these guys, and nope, Hogan turned, and yeah, that was the end of that. After that, we had Raven and versus DDP in a Ravens rules match, like a Ravens Nest match. I think they used to call it an ECW, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
This was for the United States Championship. So they did a lot of these matches in WCW for Raven because Raven was from ECW and he was known for being hardcore. So they would always do Raven's Nest matches or no rules matches for Raven because of that. So this was one of them for the United States Championship.
And this here, I was surprised because WWF at the time would have had like their no disqualifications or a street fight where you'd see weapons brought in, but they never had hardcore. I didn't realize that WCW kind of took that hardcore mainstream before WWF took it.
Well, they stole ECW
Everyone
wrestlers.
everyone took ECW, yeah.
But they were the first ones. They're like, holy shit, ECW. These guys don't have long-term contracts. Let's go. Eddie, fucking Rey Mysterio, Psychosis. Let's go. Get over here. They fucking raided them.
See, because I remember WCW's hardcore when they used to, like, instead of having a title, you got like a trophy that they used to carry around.
Yeah.
And that's how I thought it was. I didn't realize that they were doing it as early as, like, spring of '98. I thought it would have been like fall to winter, like 6 months later. But no, I was I was a little surprised to see them having it this early on.
Yeah. Let's see.
And also, fuck, I need to try and find storylines before I watch some of these ones, because it comes out United States champion DDP, and I'm like, oh, he doesn't have the belt. And then Raven comes out with the belt. I'm like, what the Raven's the I'm like, what's going on? And then they said that he stole it from him. I'm like, oh, okay, well, like, I wish I knew that beforehand, because I had no idea why the champion's not walking out, but then the opponent has the belt, and he's the second one out, so he should be the champion.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, so we have a no rules match. These guys are going at it. They go to the entranceway. They're fighting all around the match. DDP jumps from a red wagon, a horse wagon, onto a bunch of haystacks, which underneath is concrete. Like, if they would have moved the fucking haystacks, these guys could have landed just straight on concrete. They move it over to, like, they disclosed areas around by the fans. They knew what they were gonna do. They had this kind of mapped out where they were gonna go. They had, like, a whole section where it had signs for WCW.com.
Yeah,
WCWWrestling.com. Like we mentioned earlier, they Raven threw DDP on top of a table. Like, he was trying to set him up on top of the table to get on the guardrail and jump on the table to bash through it. He put DDP on it. The table broke, so then he had to get him up, put him on the second table that did hold him, get on the guardrail, jump from the guardrail onto DDP, but then the table didn't break, so DDP just jumps, like, rolls down. Like, he sold it well after that. And then, they continue on, and then DDP is winning, and then all of Raven's flock attacks one by one. They start attacking DDP. They're coming out of the crowd, and DDP fights them all off. He lands a sick ass fucking diamond cutter on Kidman. Kidman's on his back, like, almost in a rear naked choke position, and then DDP grabs his head and then kind of just, like, drops and gets him in the diamond cutter. That was pretty sick transition from it.
We had a lot of those cool transition reversals. Like, I mean, the one that stands out to me is the one he did against the Giant. When Giant went to go chokeslam, and as he lifted him up, he slips out, grabbed him, and hit him with it. That was a good one too.
Yeah. Ultimately, Raven comes out victorious. We have, I think it was one of the new members of Raven's flock.
I think Horace Hogan, right? Because Reese was already there. Reese was the guy with the bigger guy.
The fat guy, yeah. The fat
guy.
I
think it was Horace. I think, like, this was, like, his introduction to, because he had the hat on, so you couldn't really see who it was.
Yeah, he was like a crew member of and I think you're right. I think it was Horace. He was supposed to be a crew member for the Stampede crew for WCW, and I think it was a stop sign. Yeah, he hit DDP with the stop sign that he ultimately was going to finish Raven with, and then Raven hits the even flow. Yeah, the even flow on Page and gets the victory.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. You watch any Ravens matches when he hits that DDT and you don't start singing Pearl Jam, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Heave and flow.
My one real big takeaway from this match was it Lodi that had the stop sign in the crowd? The way he threw that sign from the crowd into the ring was like, you have one shot to do that, and he nailed that thing like a pitcher throwing a fastball down the middle. Like, he put that. It was so beautiful. I had to watch that back a couple of times. I couldn't believe it. Like, right in his hand.
Remember Lodi's sign? I forgot what Lodi's sign said. Wasn't it like Raven's the real United States champion or something?
Yeah. So Raven. Yeah, Raven's the U.S. champ, or the real champ.
Yeah.
Or
you always had Lodi on the outside of the crowd cheering these guys on with, like, signs and doing stupid shit.
Lodi. I'll never forget when they when the flock broke up and he became idol. No, they just reversed his name. I was like, oh Jesus.
WCW is not scared to do complete fucking change to your character. Alex
No.
Wright to that fucking German thing that he turned into.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that was about, but they
He looked
did
like
that.
a German '70s like progressive rock musician, and
Mhm.
with the wall.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Van Hammer with a quick appearance in this match too.
Was he one of
So
the flock?
he was one of the flock. Yeah, he was one of those, I guess, like borderline kind of members.
Yeah.
But
It was Sick Boy, right? Doing a lot of the interference a lot in the beginning.
yeah,
Yeah, and then eventually it became all of the flock.
I didn't see Riggs. I don't know if he was in the flock at that point or not.
Yeah, they added members and it became huge. I don't remember all the members. Jesus does. He can name them off.
Well, I remember in Revenge, like it was. They I think they were second to the NWO for the amount of members because the
Hmm.
Wolfpack even had less than the flock in the video game anyway.
Do you got anything else on this match? It was pretty much a hardcore
It
match.
was a good match. Like my only complaint about this match ties into the next match, which is having back to back
Hmm.
no rules, and then even the match before that, a baseball and a pole. Like so, you have like your
Three.
last three
Yeah.
matches in a row are kind of like no rules, and I kind of like to see those things kind of broken up a little bit, like maybe throw Jericho or something in between those. But
Yeah,
aside,
yeah.
but that's really the only complaint I have is just a little too much of a good thing kind of spoiled it. But
I could see that. I could see it. Let's see. Next match after that was the main event. Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth taking on Sting, the Stinger. He was already in his getup, the black and white Sting, the Crow Sting. This is a no. Apparently they agreed to a no disqualification match before the pay per view started. I don't know. That's what was said.
yeah, something happened. Like someone was hurt.
Savage was hurt.
Yeah, he
He was
was
getting his
hurt.
cast off or something.
So in order to make it fair, because he was injured, he should be allowed to use weapons to so that if he gets hit a certain way, he's in a lot more trouble. So if he can use a weapon, then it kind of levels the playing field. But then Sting's allowed to also, so Savage is still at the disadvantage. It just kind of was a weird thing. I think they're just trying to like capitalize on like violence and interference and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So let's see. What can I say about this match? Um. Again, they had hardcore aspects, but Randy Savage is a really, really good wrestler. So is Sting. We had good aspects of a match, but then we had the hardcore aspects of it, where they went to the haystacks, which I thought was
Yeah,
funny because they both have long black hair, and they were both throwing each other in the hay, and
they coming
they're
out.
both wearing black, and they have black hair. They came out fucking covered in the hay.
Yeah, I think that's maybe why I didn't like this match so much
Hmm.
was like you said when they were in the ring and just doing it natural,
That was good.
you could see a good story being told,
Hmm.
and then they decided, okay, well now we have to do this next chapter of the story, and it just to me it was just like not necessarily. Like, I would have much rather seen like a ref bump if they
Hmm.
wanted to use interference to end it,
I think
but
that's how. Yeah, I think that's how they wanted to end it. So we had, like we said, they had a good match, but the hardcore thing they had to make it no disqualification, so they added the hardcoreness. But then we have Miss Elizabeth hit Sting in the back after the ref gets Stinger splashed. I think the ref got Stinger splashed, got put out.
yeah, it was out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then Miss Elizabeth hits Sting, which didn't matter because it was a no disqualification match. But she hits Sting with a chair, distracts Sting because it doesn't put him out. Savage
well,
gets the upper hand and hits him with a chair or something. I forgot exactly how he gets him down, but puts the chair on the under his head.
underneath, yeah,
Yeah,
going for the elbow.
fucking hit the mute button, going for the
Oh,
elbow.
I was gonna say, yeah, okay,
Yeah, I want to go. And he gets pushed by Hogan. Hogan sneaks out and pushes him.
That's right. Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, Hogan sneaks out and pushes him off the top rope. But then we have Nash come and settle things back to how they were and cheat for the NWO like they always
Yeah.
cheated. You know, can't get mad at that. It's the NWO. And he power bombs Sting. Nash has one of the nastiest power bombs. He lifts you up to his fucking 6'11" frame or 6'10" frame, and then he just drops you. He just lets you go. Bye.
Yeah, like that's why I kind of like Nash had, yeah, like you said, he picks you up and just like spikes you down. You had this Sid Vicious where he like just lifts you up and just really plants you. Then you get the Undertaker with the last ride where it just like lifts you straight, and like I kind of like that as opposed to just taking like a simple move and everyone does the same thing. These guys all kind of put their own little touch on it depending on what their character
Was it
required.
The jackknife power bomb.
Yeah.
But it was a jackknife because he was Diesel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then it just kind of stuck with him. He couldn't really change it.
Yeah, WWE could. I guess they didn't license that.
No.
Yeah.
No, but like, yeah, like, I was gonna say, yeah, it was like, I feel like because the ref was out, that's maybe also why I was just like, oh, come on,
Yeah.
like that's the perfect ending. Like that's what you need. Don't like, but
yeah, it was a weird ending to the main event again. I don't know.
And only going like 10 minutes, like DDP went like those guys
Savage
went,
Sting, man,
and DDP Raven went longer by a minute,
Yeah.
but still they went longer. Like,
Hogan,
and
of course, had to have the
Hogan had the 13 minutes. Like
Yeah.
he had the long. Like these guys could have had like I wish they had more time and more in ring. And if you want to do no disqualification, that's cool. And utilize that as like Miss Elizabeth hit Sting, and then build your finish from there. But like, don't knock like, it was like I said, like it was just too much of one thing back to back to back that does kind of bothered me with this match. And like I don't know if Sting and Savage ever had like a true one-on-one at any point. I haven't seen it to know for sure, but I would love to like see at some point, any point of their careers, those guys have a solid match.
Mm-hmm. Early on, they were tagging a lot when Macho came to WCW. So I don't think early on they would have because they were both faces.
I guess and then they were both in the Wolf Pack. So
at this point, it would have had to be maybe this match, maybe another match, but I don't think so.
Because Sting was always going up with Hogan. Because like you said earlier, Hogan always had to be the main event. He had to be the leader.
Yeah, and then this is how they broke it up and left Hogan the hero of the NWO White, and then you had the NWO Black. And
well, even like when he comes out after Macho gets the 3 count, and Hogan comes out with the Disciple, and he's like, "That's my belt, brother. Yeah. That's my belt. Yeah. That's my belt." Mm-hmm. And like, I mean, and this was like a short reign. Like he was only champion for 4 days. Yeah. Hogan took it on Thunder later the following week.
Hey, what's going on, Connor?
Want to wave, Connor?
Hi.
Every week. Okay, you want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Go see mommy.
Is he doing better?
Yeah.
Bear.
You want your bear? Okay, get your bear.
Is it a character? Is it Winnie the Pooh?
No, it's
oh bother.
It's an Irish bear my grandmother brought home from Ireland like 70 years ago.
Whiskey the Pooh?
Yeah, there we go. I think we have a name for him.
But they should have given Randy a better match. But I understand their thinking behind it to justify Sting losing and
they want to be able to cheat to win and it be legal. And I mean the storyline makes sense, but and it was kind of weak also. Just and again, I get the storyline, but to give Savage the belt on Sunday and then give it to Hogan on Thursday, I get where they were going with it. I don't agree with it, but I mean, Hogan's only going to be.
In the words of Max Holloway, it is what it is.
I feel there's nothing else you can do. I mean, they had to have. I think actually, you look at the co-main event and the main event of this card, and Goldberg ends up with both those titles in the matter of 2 months.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't make much of a difference in the long run because Goldberg ends up with both of them for a while.
Yeah. So that was Spring Stampede 1998. I'm down to do the next pay-per-view if you want to do the next pay-per-view to continue the story, see where it goes from here.
Slamboree. I'll take a look and see if I have it. If not, I'll find something. I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know. Let me
I'll
know.
find. I'll say so I can find it somewhere. I might be able to find at least the matches somewhere if I can't get the whole pay-per-view. So.
We'll figure something out. You got anything else, Ryan?
Right now, no. It's I like overall. I thought it was a great, good card. It's fun to now see where the split came because I always knew that they would split up at some point, but I never saw the pay-per-views. I could only see the occasional Nitro, so like I knew at some point they split factions for a while, but to kind of see the stories build up and good undercard with the luchadors and the cruiserweights and all that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed this card. It was a lot better than the last one that we did. I think that Bash of the Beach, they were still trying to figure out their footing back in '95, and you could see how far they came in 3 years. Like it's pretty monumental for a small little company that they were at the time to go from almost nothing to that big.
Am I Hogan of the FHP? Is Johnny trying to descend and form the Wolfpack? Is that what it is?
Well,
Am
isn't
I trying to
your
keep all the spotlight on me? Is that what it is?
your iTunes thing is red and black though, so
Yeah.
so you're already Wolfpack.
Yeah.
You split before it was cool.
Yeah, I made them both. No, I have them
Yeah.
both. I have the white and black and the red and black.
You're like when Hogan joined the Wolfpack
Yeah,
there near the
finger
end.
poke of death.
Yeah, the finger poke of doom. That's what you gotta have Johnny over and give him the finger poke of death.
Yeah.
Or the finger poke of doom, whatever.
Yeah, so we'll see if we have Slamboree or whatever the next one was after this. Thanks a lot, Ryan, for joining me week by week. People have really been enjoying this. These
Awesome.
I can see it by the ratings or the episodes. They've been I've been advertising them a lot more. I've been putting out a lot more, and then I saw that people were picking up on it, and then you've been helping me continuously have content, so that's been really helping me out too, because I need to continuously put shit out and continuously promote it, because without the promotion, people don't really check it out. And I've been noticing if I put it out, people check it out, so the more episodes I have, the more shit I can put out.
Yeah, I like it too. Like when I was doing like everything with Jeff and Dave, whatever. Like things were really tough because of my schedule from work and the kids were young. Now I'm at this point where okay, I am able to take like a couple hours to watch a quick pay-per-view, and like every 2-3 weeks.
That's why
just like splitting it up.
That's why I wanted to set it to 2 weeks. That way you got time to check out the pay-per-view. Maybe you're busy one week and you need the other week to check it out or something. And like I have other friends too, so I can have them on 1 week, have them help me out 1 week. So I got an episode in, then you the next week. Jeff's been wanting to do more too, so might have on Jeff soon. See when he has got time to check out a pay-per-view.
We should get Jeff on for an ECW is what you should do.
Yeah, we should all watch ECW and get on that. Jesus is coming over right now. We're gonna do Stampede, Spring Stampede '97. We're gonna do the year before this, yeah. So Jesus is coming over in a little bit.
That'll be good.
Supposedly, who knows? You know.
I like it too because like I said to you before, like you said it, and it fills the timelines of the gaps. Like I'm able to go back and see something that I didn't watch, and so it allows me to kind of like relive my childhood from a different angle. And like you're more knowledgeable in the WCW, so like I can kind of get a little bit more backstories. I can get more things in there that kind of fill the blanks as to why these guys ended up here and there and whatnot. So
Dude,
it's a lot of fun, and it's not like and it's like I said, it's nice to have like an every 2 weeks just boom quick little wrestling talk, and I'm happy to hear that the people are digging it. So
and fans, please share this, subscribe, rate and review on iTunes, on all the platforms that I put out there. Subscribe to everything, not just one of them. Share it, tell your friends about it. The more people I get, maybe I can get advertising one day in a couple years or something. If this grows big enough, I can't be denied. So keep sharing, keep subscribing, keep listening. Eventually I can upgrade. Well, I'm going to upgrade my stuff no matter what, because of I want to upgrade it. I want to get like a mixer and stuff where I can hit the buttons and be like, oh my god.
Yeah, you have to have like special like JR and King for when you do WWF, and you have to have like
I
Bobby
want,
Heenan and Schiavone for when you do WCW,
yeah.
and can't think of the guy Joey Styles for
Mhm.
where you can do ECW. Like have your buttons all set up.
Yeah, if you guys subscribe more and more, and I can get fucking paid off of this, maybe eventually we can get Ryan a badass mic, one of these, or fucking maybe if I fucking what's going on outside? If I get paid and shit like that, or maybe if I get new mics, I could send you one of these.
Nice.
Because
I'm trying to this little thing.
I'm trying to get like the really nice mics that go into the. I
Oh
want to
yeah,
get the mixer, like a 8-person mixer with headphone jacks for
Right.
each individual one, so I can control it or they can control it. The knobs will be there, but it's on the outside of a mixer. Right now, I'm running it through like a program, and I can mix it through there, but I can only add 3 mics. It only
Right.
got three mic slots, and I have 3 of these mics, which are good mics, but they're USB. I want to switch it to the long cable
okay.
with that goes into actual like amplifiers and.
Right.
Yeah, and I have a mixer, but it's like a 2-channel mixer. I want a good one. So I'm gonna upgrade to that. I'm gonna upgrade my camera equipment as well. Yeah, I need to get a badass computer first with the video graphics card, so it can handle all that shit. Streaming, the uploading, 3 different cameras. I want to get nice cameras. I'm gonna do all that shit. But if people subscribe, rate, and review, I can do it faster. If not, I'm gonna have to do it at my own pace, through my own money, which it's gonna be done, but it's gonna take me longer than if people rate, review, and I can get subscribers or something. So go ahead and, like I said, hit that follow button, hit that whatever it is, subscribe button. On iTunes, on YouTube, all that good stuff.
Well, and like you were saying a couple of weeks back when you're saying, like Brazil, Japan, Canada, United States, like all those countries that are supporting you, if Mexico were to step their game up,
Yeah,
you'd be in the big time months ago. It's
yeah. And like China's got how many billions of people? China, me Ravi, wrong time. Come on, me Frappy Dicky, wrong time. Come on.
And with that, Full Hill Podcast is now done forever.
So, thanks a lot, Ryan.
Thanks for having me again, Raph. Much appreciated. Love doing it.
No problem. I'll see you guys next time on the Full Heel Podcast. Peace out.